Well, today's a big day for me. Been almost 2 years waiting on this. It's been almost 3 years. Yeah, been almost 3 years to the week. This week here in March, that we ended up having to come back down to Carolina out of Wyoming. And do I miss Wyoming? Every day. Every day. It's I grew up here in Carolina, but it's too crowded. There's a fakeness to some of the people. They accept you really quick. They're open and warm and welcome, and then when the rubber hits the road, there's not anything there. Out west, if they didn't like you, they told you to their face. But I digress. And of course, the ever-present traffic. That's the biggest thing I can't stand. I mean, I got a nice piece of property here that we carved off my mom's old piece, but it's just not the crickets and trees like we had out west. So that's what we're I was over working on the other property yesterday morning, cleaning up some stuff, and it was very peaceful over there. I could hear the creek running, and that was really nice. But I digress. It's been almost 2 years on this. I had these sea cans dropped off, these Connex containers dropped off almost 2 years ago, and I'll cut some footage in here, right here, unloading those and moving them around. If I ever do this again, I'm probably going to suffer the cost immediately of scraping it off and going ahead and pouring the pylons to do this with, because once one of these cans gets on the ground, you end up starting to fill it with stuff and stuff and stuff, as a former boss of mine used to say, and stuff. So finally I was working on scraping this pad off back here a while back and got it worked out, looking to be about 40 by 40 with the cans involved. And I poured concrete pylons back here. So I'll walk you back and let you see that real quick. So trying to square up one of these monsters is a pretty good little task. Thankfully, a friend of mine had one of the Bosch construction levels, laser level deal, and then we started shooting lines and measurements. What I've got laid down here is poured these pads 18 by 18, and they're about 3 feet into the ground with 5 sticks of 1/2 inch rebar sticking up through, and then I wired the rebar together too. So there's one at each corner of these Connexes. Some people argue that you can put 2 more in between, like a total of 6 per. Let me just put it this way: 18 by 18 by 3 feet deep times 8 cost me a little around $675 for just the concrete alone. That's me pouring the concrete. So on top of all that, I laid down a vapor barrier. 6 mil plastic is the heaviest thing I could find at Lowe's, and then went out to the quarry and I hauled in the rock dust. This is granite millings, and when they crush rock, they end up with a lot of dust, and that's what this is laid over top to keep anything from growing underneath there. So the way these are set, with the grade that was in through here, being that Phil the Bobcat has been broke for 2 years, and as Sonny Gilstrap says Pepper Lewis in Cowboy Way, how's your hind end? Sore subject, Sonny. I did pick up a drive motor for it the other day, about a month or so back, off Craigslist. When I opened it up, the thing was slammed full of metal, so I got burned again on that. Out of the 2 motors, I should be able to make 1 motor that actually works, so we'll go forward from there. And seal kit's in, so maybe later this week I can get jumped on that. But for today, big thing, I'm going to try to move this Connex container onto this pad right here, and then if that goes smoothly, maybe tomorrow I can move this one on to this pad over here. So, and then I can pour some gravel in between and eventually get a concrete slab and a roof over top of all this. So Casey's fueled up and ready to go. The other problem is that with Casey, the last time I did this, I was able to hook the bucket underneath the corner of the Connex and pick it up, because these things have got quite a bit of stuff in them, and it would take me a day to empty them out, and that's if it don't rain and so on. I busted the pin in for the bucket and bent the ear on the bucket last time I tried to pick these cans up with just the X. The X won't deadlift them straight up and down. Empty can probably would. With stuff in it, no. Let me show you what I got in here. Hopefully you can see in here. There's a 36-inch snap-on chest right here full of tools. The next one back is a 40-inch snap-on chest full of tools. The top box is down there on the floor where it landed a few days ago because this is on a tilt. And honestly, and here's a little, I'm going to put a plug in for snap-on here real quick. If you find one of these old snap-on chests somewhere and it's got some damage to it, this one in particularly I found, and all the drawer tracks were broke in it. Some goon had taken all the drawer tracks out and they'd actually tack welded like a real thin angle iron in there, and the drawers were just friction sliding on it. I'm like, what in the world? I bought the top box, and then I got to looking at the bottom box because I kind of said, you know, look, I'll haul it off, turn it into a sink base or something like that. Kicks and giggles, I called up Snap-on. Snap-on says, oh no, we'll warranty that. I'm like, you're serious? So they sent me all new drawer tracks, and all new drawer tracks. I was able to cut out the old tack welds and then do a little bit of metal work where the holes and all where the track slipped into. But yeah, that got warranted. So now I've got a really nice top box and lower box with all new drawer tracks in it. Thankfully, when it fell over the other day, the only one it damaged was the drawer tracks on the lower, and it's not leveled up. It's not in its permanent location. It's just, I cannot organize, and I just can't organize things in here in order to be able to actually work in here. So hopefully today we're going to fix that. Let's get going. It is 10:30 right now. Let's see how long it takes to get this can put on its pad. All right, so to get these things picked up, called up a friend the other day and I got some airbags off an old semi. One of them actually seems to be leaking, so it may not be with me for very long. But between this, a 20-ton jack, we're going to see what happens. When I put two bags next to each other yesterday, it picked the corner up, but it instantly want to start sliding downhill. So we got Casey sitting over here pushing up against it. So all I need to do is get this thing up high enough to get another cross tie underneath it, and then I can start sliding over with it. So we'll see what happens. Worked around semis before, and these things, if you've never been around them, they'll hold a lot of weight. I don't like the fact that the valve's coming out the top of it, but take what I can get at the moment. This is like these are off an old Kenworth, so like an 8-bag system. Really open, pushing in the ground pretty hard. It's doing all it's gonna do. Close it off. Thing is, if you close it off, if you don't have a valve there, then all that air is going to come right back out. There it goes. Well, another safety Sally. Got the can drugged down about 4 feet, and so we're in line with this other pylon over here. If I turn the camera, maybe you can see it down through there. Yep. So we're in line with this pylon here, and the other end is all kind of squared up as well. It's time to actually start going up. So we got our bags assembled here, or set up underneath, ready to go. What I'm trying to do is get it up so I can get some more cribbing underneath it, taking another stage higher. I need ultimately 2 cross ties underneath this thing before I start trying to pass over top of a pylon over there. So let's start picking it back up. Lowe's has a neat manifold that you can use 1 to then spread into 2, which is great, except for that fitting's 30 bucks, and I don't know the next time I'm going to use this after this week. Get the front one a little bit. Get it kind of squared up. Look at there, she's taking it all the way up by itself. Give it a break, let the back catch up. All I'm powering this off of is a little 8-gallon compressor down there. It's a 7-horse, some sort of Pacific equipment. If you're in question of these airbags, if I took you to the other side, there's actually daylight passing through the crib on the other side. So in reality, these 2 bags on this one corner are picking up the entire end, this whole end of this can with everything in it. All right, that's pretty close to squared up. So throw the jacks underneath it, pull the timbers out from underneath it, set it down on the concrete foundation. So let's see here. What did I say? It was 10:30 when we began, and not much time has passed on the video, but it is now 15:35. So yeah, long process, but take your time, do it slow, and it'll work on through. Well, that's a wrap for this can. What did I say, 15:30 a second ago? Yeah, I spent another hour jacking up, setting down, jacking up, setting down to get it sitting on the actual pads themselves. I went ahead and stenciled out on the pad kind of where approximation of square was. So running this direction and this direction across the actual pad for the entirety of the pad itself, not just this little pylon. So as you can see, I'm maybe 1/2–3/8 of an inch off right there, but we're going to pull a tape measure on it. When I go to put the roof, I'll actually do a cross X between the two cans, and we'll kind of go from there. And being that they're not bolted down, I can bump them one direction or the other to get them brought into square. So how do we do on the inside? Not too bad, actually. I don't find any casualties as of this moment. I'd already had gone ahead beforehand and laid everything in the floor. So the big toolboxes are the big kind of indicators. And I see a lot of the stuff that was still sitting up top on those barrels in the back there is still sitting up on the barrels. So I'd already laid my torch tanks down. Alrighty, so I gotta get to a birthday party at this point. 1 month ago today, my dad died, and today would have been his birthday. So I'm expected, or who was it, Newsboy said one time, the honor of your presence is requested. So I'm gonna have to get cleaned up and get down there. So, alrighty guys, take care.